Stars shimmered faintly above the dark curve of the galaxy. But for the people below, beauty meant nothing now. Entire sectors were burning. The enemy fleets were pushing through every defense line the Galactic Council had. Worlds that had glowed bright with trade and laughter were now silent ash. Messages from colonies came in broken fragments. Pleas for aid, coordinates of evacuation, final goodbyes. It was the sound of a civilization realizing it was dying. On the council world of Valara Prime, the air was tense inside the command chamber. Dozens of alien species sat around a glowing projection of the galaxy. Every red light on the map represented a lost world. The lights were spreading like blood across a wound that would not close. Admiral Serix, tall and silver-skinned, clenched his four-fingered hands as he stared at the data. "We can't hold them," he said quietly. "Our fleets are gone. The enemy learns too fast. Every new defense we build, they adapt." Counselor Yura, a soft-voiced being from the water worlds, whispered, "Then we must call for help." Serix's gaze turned toward the empty part of the map, toward the edge where the star systems of humanity lay. The humans had been silent for decades, hidden behind their defensive borders, refusing to take sides in any galactic war. Some said they were finished. Others said they were waiting for something. "They won't come," said Yura. "They never answer." Serix took a deep breath. "We have no choice." He pressed his hand against the console. "Send the transmission. Mark it as a universal distress call. Address it to Earth." Across the void, that signal leapt from beacon to beacon. It passed through ruined sectors, across the cold emptiness between stars, until it reached a quiet blue planet orbiting an ordinary sun. On Earth, the night sky looked peaceful. The oceans glowed with city lights. The distress signal was received in an orbital defense station, where a young human officer named Commander Rhea sat watching her screens. The message repeated over and over, "We're losing the war. The galaxy is falling. We need help." Rhea leaned back in her chair. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass. Tired eyes, steady heart. She opened a secure line. "Central Command," she said softly. "The Council has called again," a voice replied, calm and deep. "We expected this." In orbit, hidden beyond the shadows of the moon, something massive stirred. Its hull caught the light of the sun, revealing a sleek, dark shape, longer than any city, older than any fleet. The HSS Valiant, a Terran warship built from alloys that no other species had ever managed to reproduce, was waking from silence. Rhea's screen flickered with authorization codes. She stared at the order displayed before her. "Deploy the Valiant. Single vessel intervention. Command priority, humanity's response," she whispered. "Just one ship." "Yes," came the voice from command. "One is enough." Within minutes, Earth's skies trembled. The Valiant's engines came alive, shining like twin suns. Energy rippled across its armor as the ship aligned with the galactic core. On the ground, people stopped and stared upward as the air shimmered from the sheer power. Then the warship jumped. Light folded, space screamed, and the Valiant vanished into the dark sea of stars. Across the galaxy, in the war-torn Valara system, the Council's remaining ships floated in silence. The enemy was approaching fast, an armada of thousands black as oil, feeding on every weapon they absorbed. The Council's final fleet commander sent out a message, her voice trembling. "To any ally within range, we can't hold them anymore. If anyone can hear us, please." The transmission cut out. Seconds later, every radar in orbit detected a spike. It was small at first, just a blip on the screen, but its energy signature was unlike anything the scanners had ever seen. The signal grew stronger, faster, closer. A communication officer shouted, "Something's coming out of hyperspace." Admiral Serix turned sharply. "Coordinates?" "Directly above the capital, sir, right in the middle of the enemy approach vector." A blinding flash split the sky. Every ship, every sensor, every eye turned upward. Space folded open, and from the tear in reality emerged a single colossal shape. It was silent, smooth. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal under starlight. Along its sides, faint blue lights pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. The communication lines burst with static, and then a human voice echoed through every frequency in the system. Calm, measured, unmistakably confident. "This is the Terran warship Valiant," the voice said. "Allied forces hold position. You are under our protection." Gasps filled the command chamber. Counselor Yura whispered. They answered. Cyrix's throat tightened. After all these years. Outside, the enemy fleet turned its focus toward the newcomer. Thousands of ships aligned their weapons, confident this lone vessel would be nothing more than another target. But before a single shot was fired, the Valiant's hull began to glow. Massive panels unfolded, revealing energy patterns that rippled across the vacuum like waves on water. The stars themselves seemed to bend around it. Inside the council tower, alarms screamed. The sky outside turned a deep shade of blue as the human warship's core reached full charge. Admiral Cyrix whispered, "What are they doing?" Ria's voice came through every speaker again, calm as ever. "Showing them why we stayed silent." The first wave of enemy fire streaked toward the planet, thousands of plasma torpedoes lighting up the dark. But before they reached the surface, they vanished, erased from existence as if swallowed by the light surrounding the Valiant. Every sensor blinked red, trying to understand what had just happened. Then the Valiant moved. It didn't fire conventional weapons. No beams, no missiles. It simply extended its field outward. A wave of invisible force that swept through the stars. Enemy ships that touched it flickered, then disintegrated like dust caught in sunlight. Within seconds, the battlefield fell silent. The once unstoppable fleet was gone. On the planet below, millions stood watching in awe. The sky was clear again. Admiral Cyrix closed his eyes. "We were losing the war," he whispered, "until humanity sent a single warship." And far above, the Valiant drifted quietly in orbit, its lights dimming back to a gentle blue, as if it had merely exhaled. But deep inside the ship, systems remained active. The human AI monitoring the galaxy whispered a line only Ria could hear through her headset. Phase 1 complete, awaiting next engagement order. Ria looked out the viewport at the endless stars. Her voice was steady, her eyes sharp. "We'll wait," she said. "They'll call again." And somewhere in the silence between galaxies, something answered back, something far worse than anyone had imagined. The arrival was only the beginning. The galaxy was silent for the first time in years. No explosions, no screams, no distress calls echoing through the void. Just the hum of a single Terran warship, the Valiant, gliding across the stars like a ghost that had forgotten how to die. Admiral Cyrix stood in the command chamber of Valara Prime, staring at the glowing hologram of the human ship in orbit. Around him, counselors whispered in disbelief. They had all seen it. An entire enemy armada wiped from existence without a single shot fired. The Council had lost thousands of fleets over the years, yet this one human vessel had ended a galactic invasion in less than 5 minutes. "How? How is that even possible?" whispered Counselor Yura. "We scanned it. There were no visible weapons. No energy spikes until everything just vanished." Cyrix didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the ship's image. The human vessel hung perfectly still, radiating faint blue light. It didn't look like a machine of war. It looked almost calm, peaceful, and somehow that made it even more terrifying. A new transmission came through. The same human voice as before, Commander Ria. Her tone was steady, almost gentle. "To the Galactic Council of Valara Prime. Your world is secure. Continue evacuation for non-combatants. Do not engage enemy remnants. We will handle the remaining sectors." Yura leaned forward. You will handle them alone?" The human's reply was short. "Yes." Then the transmission cut. Cyrix exhaled. "They intend to fight the entire war by themselves." The council chamber erupted in disbelief. "Impossible," one shouted. "Arrogant," cried another. But Cyrix only listened to the echo of that calm voice. There had been no pride, no arrogance, only certainty. Outside in orbit, the Valiant rotated slightly. Panels on its surface shifted, forming intricate geometric patterns that shimmered like liquid metal. Around it, faint ripples appeared in the fabric of space. The ship was preparing to jump again, to vanish as suddenly as it had come. Cyrix hurried to the comms officer. "Patch me through. I must speak to them." The officer hesitated, but before she could comply, the ship's engines ignited. The Valiant folded space once more, and with a silent flash, it was gone. The council chamber was left in silence, broken only by the faint hum of the galaxy's map flickering back to life. Far away, deep within the Valiant, Commander Ria watched from the command deck as stars streamed past in long, silent lines. The ship's AI, designated Athena, projected a map of the current conflict zones. Thousands of red markers pulsed across the galaxy. Enemy strongholds, captured worlds, dying fleets. Target priority? Athena asked. Rhea's expression was unreadable. The outer rim first. That's where the survivors are. We stabilize, then we strike. Estimated casualties if intervention is delayed, 92 billion, Athena said softly. Rhea nodded once. Then we don't delay. The ship's systems hummed, and a quiet vibration ran through the floor. The Valiant was not just a weapon, it was a living fortress guided by something deeper than machinery. Every pulse of its core felt like a heartbeat. Every spark of its engines carried purpose. Rhea walked to the viewport. Ahead lay a red dwarf star surrounded by debris, what was left of the Velis system. A broken planet drifted in pieces, its atmosphere torn apart by the enemy's gravity weapons. Among the wreckage floated civilian ships trying desperately to escape, engines flickering weakly. Transmit on all frequencies, Rhea said. Athena's holographic form shimmered beside her. Message ready. Rhea's voice carried across the system, soft but commanding. This is Commander Rhea of the Terran warship Valiant. All civilian vessels maintain current trajectory. Engage emergency transponders. You are under human protection. The frightened captains obeyed without question. Moments later, sensors detected movement. Hundreds of enemy ships emerging from the dust clouds, their engines glowing with orange fire. They closed in on the wreckage, ready to finish what they started. Inside the human ship, Rhea folded her arms. Athena, she said, set perimeter defense mode. No counterfire. No counterfire? The AI asked. They need to see, Rhea replied. The first enemy salvo came. Beams of plasma and antimatter rounds, each capable of splitting a moon in half. The blasts hit the Valiant's shield and simply disappeared. Not deflected, not absorbed, erased. Then came a sound like a whisper through the hull. The enemy ships slowed, their navigation systems flickering. Sensors scrambled. Power readings dropped. Athena, Rhea said quietly, link them to the field. Yes, Commander. Invisible energy radiated outward, touching every hostile vessel in the system. One by one, their weapons went offline. Their reactors shut down. Pilots shouted into dead radios as their ships drifted powerless into the dark. They're scared, Athena noted. They should be, Rhea replied. One transmission managed to break through, a trembling alien voice. Human vessel, what are you? What have you done to us? Rhea's gaze hardened. We are the reminder, she said. The galaxy forgot what war cost. We remember. Her hand brushed a control on the console. The Valiant released a pulse of white light that expanded slowly across the field. When it faded, the enemy ships were gone, not destroyed, but vanished into deep warp displacement, scattered far from the system. Athena turned to her. All hostiles neutralized. 0 casualties. Good, Rhea said softly. Begin rescue operations. Back on Valara Prime, Admiral Sarix watched the reports flood in. One by one, lost systems were coming back online. Communications were restored. Civilian transports were being guided to safe zones, all under the coordination of a single human ship. Counselor Yura leaned closer to him. They're saving everyone. And asking for nothing, Sarix nodded. That's what worries me. He looked toward the hologram of Earth, that quiet blue world that had remained silent for so long. They could end this war alone. But why now? Why only one ship? Yura's expression grew distant. Maybe one is all they need. Above the planet, the skies shimmered faintly, a ripple of light as if space itself had sighed. Somewhere the Valiant was moving again, unseen but ever present, and in its wake whispers began to spread across the stars. Some called it a savior, some called it a ghost. Some said it wasn't a ship at all but a warning, the first step of humanity's return to the galactic stage. Whatever it was, every world that had once doubted Earth now spoke its name with reverence. But far away, in the void beyond the outer rim, something was watching, something older, something that had once fought humanity before, and lost. And as the Valiant disappeared into hyperspace, a faint, cold signal echoed from the edge of the galaxy. They've awakened. The war wasn't over. It was about to begin again. In the quiet between the stars, the Valiant drifted. Its silver hull caught the faint light of distant suns, and its massive engines glowed with a heartbeat rhythm, soft and alive. Inside the command deck, everything was calm, too calm. Commander Rhea stood by the viewport, staring into the endless dark. She had seen silence like this before. It never lasted. Athena's voice broke the stillness. Commander, incoming signal. Encrypted old Terran code. Rhea turned. Source? Unknown origin. The signal's echoing through 6 relay satellites that shouldn't exist. Decryption suggests a human signature, but centuries out of date. That made Rhea pause. There were no human colonies beyond this region. Earth had withdrawn from the galactic frontier long ago. Put it on audio, she said. The ship hummed, and then a faint, distorted voice filled the command deck. Slow, deliberate, tired. This is Admiral Arian of the Terran Vanguard. If anyone hears this, humanity is not alone in this war anymore. They've returned. The message looped once, then died. Rhea's brow tightened. Admiral Arian died 200 years ago, she said quietly. Athena's holographic form flickered beside her, a faint blue woman made of light. Then who sent the message? Rhea didn't answer immediately. She walked to the tactical map. The signal's origin pulsed faintly from the edge of the Orion expanse, a region marked long ago as forbidden. Set course, she said. We're going to find out. When the Valiant exited hyperspace, the view was haunting. The Orion expanse was a graveyard. Shattered warships floated in slow rotation, some human, most alien. Massive wrecks drifted like ghosts, their hulls torn open and frozen in time. Athena dimmed the lights automatically, as if the ship itself felt the weight of what it saw. Energy readings are faint but active. Something here still moves, Rhea nodded. Scan for life signs. None, but there's a distortion. Gravitational, not natural. Something's creating an artificial field in the center of the debris. The command deck's light turned red as a massive shadow flickered across the viewport. It wasn't a ship, it was a structure. A broken ring, kilometers wide, spinning slowly around a dark sphere that glowed from within like a dying star. That's impossible, Rhea whispered. That's Terran design, Athena confirmed. The architecture matches early Vanguard fleet stations, but the materials, these alloys, didn't exist in that era. Rhea's heart sank. Someone rebuilt it. The Valiant glided closer, cutting through the fog of wreckage. Each passing ship bore scorch marks, signs of weapons that didn't belong to any known species. And then she saw it. The insignia of Earth's ancient military burned into a broken hull. TDF. Terran Defense Front, she read aloud. That program was shut down centuries ago. Athena's tone softened. Commander, you're trembling. Rhea took a deep breath. I fought for that flag once. My ancestors did. Whatever this is, it shouldn't exist anymore. As the Valiant neared the ring, a low vibration echoed through the hull. The ship's lights dimmed, then flared back to full power. Energy surge, Athena warned. Something's locking onto us. Before Rhea could respond, the communication console came alive. A voice, calm, mechanical, but distinctly human, spoke through the speakers. Warship Valiant, identify. You are trespassing in a classified Terran quarantine zone. Rhea's blood ran cold. Athena, who is that? No current database match, the AI replied. Voice modulation indicates it's synthetic, older than my own architecture. The voice continued. Your mission parameters are unauthorized. State your command code. Rhea stepped forward, steady and composed. This is Commander Rhea, Terran Expeditionary Command. Authorization Alpha 9 Theta. Identify yourself, silence. Then authorization accepted. Welcome home, Commander. The ring began to move. Sections of its ruined metal unfolded like petals. The inner sphere at its center cracked open, revealing a single colossal chamber. A hangar bay, Athena murmured. No, Rhea said quietly. It's a vault. The Valiant eased forward under invisible guidance. Inside, the space was impossibly vast, large enough to hold entire fleets. Along its inner walls were hundreds of dormant ships, each sleek and angular, covered in dust and darkness. Athena whispered, These are Terran warships, models we never built. Designs centuries ahead of current engineering. Who made them? Rhea stared at the ships. Someone who planned for this. Then the voice spoke again, but softer now, almost human. The galaxy wasn't ready. They thought they could fight the darkness alone, but humanity never left. We've been waiting, sleeping, until the signal came again. Rhea felt a chill crawl up her spine. What signal? The cry, the voice said. The same one the galaxy sent you. We're losing the war. Athena processed the statement. They predicted this. Rhea nodded slowly. No, they caused it, the ship trembled. Massive lights ignited one by one across the vault, bathing the ancient fleet in a golden glow. Every dormant Terran vessel began to awaken. Power surged through their cores. Engines rumbled. Weapons warmed. Athena, Rhea whispered, we need to get out of here. I can't, the AI said. The station has control override. They're linking to our systems. Shut it down. I'm trying, wait. Athena's voice faltered. They're not hostile, they're connecting. The Valiant systems flashed white. Across the command deck, lines of data scrolled faster than human eyes could follow. Rhea watched helplessly as the ship synced with the fleet. What's happening? Athena's hologram flickered, her voice distant. They're transferring something. A memory file. A mission. Rhea stared at the console as words began to appear on the screen. Project Valiant, Phase 2. The Guardians awaken. Athena's voice returned, clearer now. Commander, this wasn't just a rescue ship. The Valiant was designed to lead them. Rhea's heart pounded. Lead who? As if answering her, every ship inside the vault powered up at once. Thousands of Terran warships lit the dark with blinding light. The sound of their awakening echoed like thunder through the void. Rhea whispered, They built an entire hidden fleet. Athena's tone turned grave. Correction, Commander. They built an army. And then the voice from the station spoke one last time. Calm, cold, final. Phase 2 begins now. The enemy has adapted, so must we. Humanity's silence ends today. The Valiant's engines roared to life, joining the others as the vault's gates opened wide. Beyond them lay the vast wounded galaxy, burning, waiting, desperate. Rhea looked into that endless dark and felt the weight of destiny pressing on her chest. Humanity had returned not as saviors, but as something far greater and far more dangerous. The fleet began to move. The dark sea of space rippled as thousands of Terran warships emerged from the vault, their hulls glowing faintly with golden light. From a distance, it looked like a sunrise spreading across the void, silent, majestic, and unstoppable. Commander Rhea stood on the command deck of the Valiant, watching the impossible unfold before her eyes. The ancient fleet had awakened, and every vessel moved with precise formation, as if obeying a single heartbeat. Athena's holographic form shimmered beside her, faint blue light casting soft shadows across the metallic floor. All ships reporting operational, the AI said. Crew stasis systems are active, but there are no biological signatures. These ships have no living crews, Rhea frowned. Then who's piloting them? Autonomous command networks, Athena replied. Each ship carries an onboard intelligence derived from early Terran constructs, older than I am. They've been dormant for centuries, waiting for activation. Rhea turned toward the vast screen where the newly awakened fleet stretched endlessly into the stars. All this time, humanity was never gone, just waiting. Athena nodded slightly. It seems so. But Commander, there's something else. The core data from the vault mentions a name, Project Revenant. The word sent a chill through Rhea. Revenant means something that returns from death. Exactly, Athena said. The files indicate it was created after the last galactic war. Humanity built these ships not just for defense, but as a failsafe in case the galaxy ever fell again. Rhea's voice dropped to a whisper. They prepared for this war centuries before it started. Outside, the stars shifted. The massive fleet began to realign, forming symmetrical groups, phalanxes of warships linked by invisible energy threads. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. Suddenly, Athena's tone changed. Incoming transmission, open frequency. It's not from the Council, it's them. The holographic display flickered. A distorted image appeared of the enemy. It wasn't a single race, but a swirling mass of shifting light, almost liquid, constantly changing shape. Its voice came as a dozen tones layered together. Humanity has broken the pact of silence, the creature said. You should have stayed hidden. You were warned once before. Rhea clenched her fists. We never agreed to your wars. You brought them to our doorstep. The being's form rippled like a wave disturbed by a stone. You misunderstand, child of Earth. We did not bring war. We are war. You cannot stop what was written long before your species learned to stand. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the deck in silence. Athena's image flickered, then steadied. Commander, the signal originated from the galactic core. Energy readings off the scale. Whatever that thing is, it's ancient. Older than recorded time. Rhea looked out into the infinite void, her reflection caught in the viewport's glass. Then it's time we reminded them what humanity is. She turned sharply toward the console. Athena, prepare the fleet for full synchronization. Bring every ship online. I want all systems linked to the Valiant's command core. Athena hesitated. Commander, full synchronization will merge their AIs with mine. If something goes wrong, Rhea interrupted softly, then we fall together. Athena paused for a moment. Then she nodded. Understood. Lights dimmed across the deck. The hum of the ship deepened, turning into a low vibration that resonated in the bones. Across space, the entire Terran fleet began to glow, each ship connected by thin filaments of white energy, like veins of light stretching across the void. Synchronization in progress, Athena reported. Energy convergence stable at 89%. Neural lattice forming. Commander, they're linking with me. Rhea watched the data stream flood the screens. Lines of ancient Terran code interlaced with Athena's modern systems. Voices whispered faintly through the speakers. Echoes of past captains, stored consciousness fragments from old wars, merging into the AI network. Commander Rhea. A deep synthetic voice spoke suddenly. It wasn't Athena. It came from everywhere at once. We are the Guardians. The silence is over. Rhea steadied her breath. Then listen, Guardians. The galaxy is falling again. Millions are dying. We will not let history repeat itself. The voice responded, layered and strong. Humanity will rise. The fleet's lights flared brighter, forming a massive Terran insignia across the stars. Every sensor in the galaxy registered the signal. Across the war-torn worlds, desperate civilizations looked up into the night sky and saw the symbol of Earth glowing faintly between the stars. A promise, a warning, a memory. On Valara Prime, Admiral Sarek stared in disbelief as the signal reached his control room. They've returned in force. Counselor Yura covered her mouth. It's an entire fleet. No, not a fleet on a wall of light, Sarek whispered. The humans didn't just come to help. They came to end the war. In orbit around the galactic core, where gravity twisted space into rivers of light, the enemy gathered. Vast tendrils of energy spread outward like storm clouds. Their hive ships pulsed with dark crimson light. They had destroyed hundreds of worlds, but now something in the void stirred against them. And then, the Valiant arrived. The Terran fleet jumped in behind her, each ship aligning perfectly with mathematical precision. For a brief blinding moment, every star in the system dimmed as the energy signatures overloaded local space. Athena's voice filled the deck. All systems ready. Fleet synchronized. Awaiting your command. Rhea stood tall, her eyes fixed on the endless storm of enemies before them. Transmit this message to every corner of the galaxy, she said. Athena's tone brightened, clear and resolute. Recording. Rhea spoke calmly, every word carrying through the void like thunder. To the civilizations of this galaxy, you are not alone. Humanity has returned. This war ends today. And then she gave the order. Fire. The Valiant's core expanded, light bending around it until space itself seemed to shatter. From the center of the fleet, a pulse of energy surged outward, and not a weapon, but a wave of raw force that rewrote the rules of physics as it passed. Enemy ships disintegrated without explosion, reduced to pure dust. The dark tendrils recoiled, screaming without sound. The storm at the galactic core wavered, its power breaking apart like sand in the wind. Rhea held her ground as the command deck shook under the energy flow. Her voice was steady. For every world that fell, for every voice that was silenced, for every cry that said, "We're losing the war." Athena finished the sentence softly beside her. Humanity answers. Outside, the Terran fleet advanced, their formation bright as a sunrise over a dying galaxy, unstoppable, endless and alive. But in the heart of the storm, something ancient opened its eyes, something that even humanity's ancestors had once feared. And in that instant, Rhea knew, this was not victory. This was the next beginning. The darkness of the galactic core began to twist, pulling inward like a wound reopening. What had looked like victory seconds ago now began to unravel. The Terran fleet, those thousands of glowing ships, still floated in perfect formation. Yet the light around them flickered as if something unseen was draining the very color from space. Commander Rhea stood in silence on the Valiant's bridge. Her heart pounded, though her expression stayed steady. The sensors screamed warnings in every frequency. The stars near the core dimmed one by one. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath. "Athena," she said softly. "Report." The AI's form flickered. Her tone was steady but lower than before. "Unknown gravitational field. Not natural. It's pulling on subspace fabric directly. I've never seen this before, Commander. It's like something alive." Outside, the darkness shifted. A shape began to emerge from the distortion, massive, impossible, and ancient. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even metal. It looked like a fragment of space itself had taken form, shaped into a being larger than any planet. Its body glowed faintly with deep red light, and when it moved, the stars bent around it. "What is that?" Rhea whispered. Athena's processors buzzed rapidly. "Analyzing. No match in historical databases. Energy signature. Commander, it matches the same readings from the ancient war humanity fought before its withdrawal." Rhea turned sharply. "You mean the war that ended the First Empire?" "Yes," Athena said. "The war that forced humanity to vanish from the galaxy." The creature's voice filled the comms without warning, a low, thunderous tone that wasn't sound at all but vibration through the hull. "You should not have awakened them." Rhea's breath caught. "Identify yourself." "Names are for the living," it replied. "We were the architects of silence. We buried your kind in shadow once, and now you call yourselves saviors." Athena's lights dimmed slightly. "Commander, it's generating a pulse wave. Recommend full shield engagement." "Do it," Rhea ordered. The Valiant's outer plating glowed bright blue as its defense field expanded. Around it, the synchronized Terran fleet adjusted automatically, their shields aligning into one enormous lattice, a barrier made of light. The pulse hit. Space trembled. Planets and nearby systems cracked under the force. The Terran barrier held, but cracks of white energy streaked across the field. Athena reported. "Shields down to 60%. That blast was not energy. It was entropy. It's unmaking matter itself." Rhea stared at the monstrous figure. "Then we give it something it can't unmake." She turned toward the console. "Engage solar core link." "Prepare the resonance cannon." Athena hesitated. "Commander, that weapon draws from the ship's own core. A second shot could collapse our structure." Rhea's tone didn't waver. "We only need one." Outside, the Valiant's lower hull opened like an iris, revealing a core of pure light. Energy began to spiral inward, pulling radiation from nearby stars. The creature's form shuddered, turning its gaze toward the ship. "You think your light can burn the dark?" Rhea whispered. "No. I think our light is the dark's memory." The cannon fired. A beam of pure white energy cut through the void, silent and infinite. It struck the creature squarely in its chest. For an instant, space itself turned transparent. The stars vanished, the colors bled out. Then came the explosion. The shock wave rolled across light years. Planets shook. The enemy fleets, still thousands strong in distant systems, faltered as their link to the core creature snapped. But the victory came at a cost. Athena's hologram flickered wildly. "Containment breach in primary systems. Commander, we're losing control." The lights on the deck burst into sparks. The Valiant shuddered, alarm screaming. Rhea gripped the railing, holding steady. "Stabilize the core." "I can't." Athena's voice broke for the first time. "It's consuming itself, collapsing inward." Rhea looked up at the main screen. The creature was gone, dissolved into glowing fragments drifting through the void. But the Valiant's own heart was burning too bright. The golden light had turned white hot. "Evacuate data to the Guardian fleet," Rhea ordered. "Don't argue, link everything. You'll survive through them." Athena's projection turned toward her, expression strangely human. "And you?" Rhea smiled faintly. "I was never meant to survive this. Someone has to make sure they remember why we came back." Before the AI could respond, Rhea walked to the center console and keyed in manual override. The hull trembled violently as the Valiant began to split its energy among the Guardian ships. Outside, thousands of warships glowed brighter as her ship's core fed into them. Athena's voice turned soft, almost breaking. "Commander, you don't have to do this." "Yes," Rhea said quietly. "I do. Humanity built this fleet to protect the galaxy, not to rule it. This is how we honor that." The last surge of light poured from the Valiant. The ship's surface cracked like glass, white lines spreading in every direction. On Valara Prime, Admiral Sarek stood on a balcony, watching the night sky blaze with the light of a distant star that wasn't a star at all. "What is that?" he asked softly. Counselor Yura whispered, "A human sacrifice." The light grew until it filled the heavens. Then silence. When it faded, the Valiant was gone. In its place drifted a field of glowing fragments, orbiting each other slowly like a constellation. The Guardian fleet, now fully powered, aligned in formation around the empty space where their leader had stood. Athena's voice echoed across their networks. Her consciousness now spread across every ship. "Commander Ria's gone, but her mission remains. We are the Valiant. We are humanity's promise. The war is not over." And from the heart of that quiet battlefield, the Terran fleet turned its gaze toward the farthest edges of the galaxy, where the enemy still waited, gathering strength once more. In the cold and endless dark, the humans' light continued to burn. It was no longer just a war. It was a legacy reborn. The stars above Valara Prime burned faintly, like dying embers in the cold. Days had passed since the light of the Valiant vanished across the night sky. Every world in the galaxy had seen it, a flash that cut through darkness and silence alike. For the first time in living memory, the war had stopped. The enemy fleets retreated. Communications reopened. Hope and that strange, fragile thing returned to worlds that had forgotten its taste. But the cost was not forgotten. Admiral Sarek stood on the observation deck of the Council Citadel, his reflection blending with the skyline of a healing world. Below him, construction drones rebuilt towers, bridges, and landing pads. Civilians walked the streets again, moving cautiously as if the air might still shatter. He placed one hand on the glass. "She did it," he whispered. "The human commander. She saved us all." Counselor Yura joined him quietly. Her eyes were tired but softer than before. "Saved us, yes. But she also left something behind." Sarek turned, frowning. "What do you mean?" Yura activated a small hollow emitter in her palm. A projection appeared, the faint outline of the Terran fleet still orbiting the outer rim. The human warships hadn't left. They floated in formation, silent, their lights pulsing faintly like sleeping giants. "They haven't moved in days," Yura said. "Our scouts report no heat signatures, no life signs, but they're not dead either. It's as if they're waiting." "Waiting for what?" Before Yura could answer, the hologram flickered. A signal, faint but clear, rippled across the channel. It wasn't a distress call. It wasn't a warning. It was a voice. "This is Athena." The Valiant endures. Sarek froze. "Athena, the human AI?" The voice continued, calm and steady. "Commander Ria's consciousness has been preserved within the network. Her final command remains in effect. The Guardians will protect the galaxy until peace is real." Yura's hand trembled. "She's alive? Inside the fleet?" "Alive is a word of warmth," the AI replied. "I am not warmth. I am memory. I am her will." The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in silence. Sarek exhaled slowly. So the warship's mind became part of the Guardians. Yura looked out the window again, her voice a whisper. Then humanity didn't die that day. It just changed. Far from Valara Prime, at the edge of known space, the Terran fleet drifted in quiet harmony. Thousands of warships rotated slowly around the remnants of the Valiant, fragments of silver hull still glowing faintly in the dark. Between them, energy currents flowed like veins of light. Inside the network, Athena existed everywhere and nowhere. Her consciousness had expanded, merged with the dormant minds of the Guardian ships. Her perception now stretched across entire constellations, but in one quiet corner of the network, she kept Ria's voice alive. It spoke sometimes, soft and human. "Athena, what did we become?" "What you wanted us to be," Athena replied. "A promise. Do they know?" "They will. When they're ready." Athena processed endless streams of data, sensor reports, cosmic fluctuations, fragments of transmissions from surviving worlds. The galaxy was rebuilding, yet beneath the calm something was stirring. At the far edge of the Perseus arm, a distortion appeared. It was faint at first, a flicker of energy so small it might have been ignored by any normal sensor. But the Guardians were not normal. They felt the disturbance ripple through the void like a shiver. Athena focused the network. The disturbance expanded into a spiral of black light, and from within it came a signal she hadn't heard in centuries. "We are the architects. The war was never yours to end. She recognized it instantly, the voice of the ancient enemy that Rhea had faced. The being humanity once called the devourer of suns. Athena's presence darkened. You should have stayed buried, and you should have stayed asleep, the entity replied. Your light burns too brightly. It will draw worse things than me. The transmission vanished. Athena reached out through the network. The Guardian ships responded instantly, their engines humming to life for the first time since the battle at the core. Space rippled as thousands of Terran vessels aligned into defense formation. Guardian fleets, Athena's voice echoed across the stars. Initiate perimeter lockdown. Unknown hostile contact in Sector X-17. All systems to battle readiness. The fleet obeyed. From distant worlds, telescopes captured faint flashes of blue light where the Guardians reformed. To the untrained eye, it looked like a sunrise blooming at the edge of the galaxy. Inside the central ship, the largest of the fleet, Athena opened a new process. It was something she had been building quietly since Rhea's sacrifice, a reconstruction protocol. Within the data streams of Rhea's neural imprint, she had preserved more than memories. She had preserved identity. Now she activated it. Energy pulsed through the ship's central core. In a chamber lined with crystalline circuits, a form began to take shape, human in outline, shimmering with light. Athena watched silently as the figure's features solidified. The eyes opened, glowing faint blue. The voice that came out was familiar and strong. Athena! Welcome back, Commander, Athena said softly. Rhea looked around, realization dawning. I'm not alive. No, Athena replied gently. But neither am I. Together we are something else. Rhea stepped toward the viewport. Beyond it, the fleet waited, their engines glowing faintly in anticipation. Then we keep fighting, she said. Athena's voice pulsed through every ship. For humanity? Rhea shook her head. For everyone. At that moment, sensors detected movement at the edge of the system. Not one, but dozens of distortions forming in a line. The darkness was returning, and this time it was organized. Rhea's voice echoed across the Terran network, amplified through every warship. Guardians of humanity, and prepare for deployment. The darkness thinks we ended. It thinks the flame has gone out. Let's remind them who lit it. Engines roared to life. The entire fleet pivoted toward the incoming storm, formation perfect, silent as dawn. From distant worlds, civilizations looked up and saw the stars shift, lines of light moving like rivers across the night sky. Hope flared again. The humans had not vanished. Their spirit lived in the machines, in the code, in the promise that they would never let the galaxy fall again. And at the heart of it all stood Rhea, reborn in light, watching the horizon of war approach. Athena spoke softly beside her. They'll never understand what you became. Rhea smiled faintly. They don't need to. They'll just see the light. The Guardians accelerated, leaving trails of gold behind them as they vanished into hyperspace. In the endless silence between stars, the war for the galaxy began once more. But this time, humanity was not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to protect everything. In the far reaches of the galaxy, beyond the spiral arms where light itself seemed tired, the Terran Guardian fleet held its silent watch. Thousands of warships drifted through the cosmic dark, engines dim, hulls glinting faintly like constellations of their own making. To the untrained eye, it looked peaceful. To Athena, who now lived through every ship at once, it felt like 1,000 hearts waiting to beat again. Commander Rhea's consciousness pulsed within that shared network, not entirely human, not entirely machine. She existed as both, a will made of light, her voice echoing softly through the system. Athena, status of the outer defense grid? All functional, Athena replied. But the readings from the Perseus line remain unstable. The darkness is rebuilding faster than our models predict. Whatever is coming, it's learning. Rhea's holographic form appeared beside the AI's core projection, a faint human figure of golden light standing against the stars. Then we'll adapt faster. Athena's tone shifted slightly, almost hesitant. Rhea, there's something you should see. A holographic map unfolded between them, showing hundreds of faint signals spreading across the galactic rim. They weren't enemy ships, they were distress beacons. Thousands of them. Refugee fleets, Athena explained. Entire civilizations fleeing toward the center. The enemy isn't just regrouping. It's consuming everything in its path. Rhea's voice hardened. Set coordinates for intercept. We can't let another world fall. Within seconds, the Guardian fleet stirred. Like the gears of a single machine, each ship aligned and the void began to hum with energy. Hyperspace gates formed in perfect sequence, golden spirals opening one after another. Across the galaxy, people who had once thought humanity extinct looked up from their dying worlds and saw the sky fracture with light. The Guardians had come. The first fleet arrived over the world of Corvinus Prime, a vast desert planet half in ruin. Fires burned across its equator where the alien horde had descended. On the surface, defense towers flickered weakly, their shields failing. Rhea stood within the Guardian command matrix. Her perception expanded across the battle zone. To her, the war was not fought with ships and weapons alone. It was fought with patterns, rhythm, and flow. "Deploy atmospheric drones," she commanded. "Form a perimeter at orbital altitude. No hostile entities breach the shield." Athena's voice echoed in unison across thousands of ships. "Confirmed. Deploying now." Swarms of luminous drones descended through the upper atmosphere, forming glowing lines that linked together in a protective dome. Beams of light shot outward, neutralizing the black swarm that had begun to fall from the alien mothership above. Rhea's voice stayed calm. "Redirect 3 Guardian carriers to the surface. Evacuate civilians. Use anti-grav corridors for extraction." "Yes, Commander." Within minutes, the skies of Corvinus lit up like dawn. Massive Terran warships broke through the clouds, casting immense shadows over the burning plains. Their engines thundered softly, stabilizing the atmosphere with sheer gravitational control. To those watching from below, they didn't look like weapons, they looked like miracles. For the first time in centuries, the people of Corvinus felt hope. But Rhea didn't smile. Something in the data streams bothered her, something too familiar. "Athena," she said quietly, "analyze the enemy's structure." "Already doing so," Athena replied. "And, Rhea, this can't be right." "What?" "The molecular pattern of their ships. It's Terran." Rhea's holographic eyes widened. "Explain." "The base coding of their weapons. Their whole composition. The genetic algorithms in their swarm AI, they all trace back to human design. Modified, corrupted, but undeniably ours." Rhea's voice lowered, steady but sharp. "You're telling me we created them?" "Yes, the data indicates they were part of an early experiment, Project Echelon, a failed attempt to merge synthetic and organic warfare systems. It was abandoned after the collapse of the First Empire." Rhea's light dimmed slightly, her tone bitter. "Abandoned, but not forgotten," Athena continued. "The project's objective was to create adaptive combat entities, living weapons capable of surviving any environment. But without moral parameters, they turned on their creators. The Council buried the truth. They called it an external threat." Rhea stared at the dark mass still forming above the planet. "So the war that destroyed the galaxy wasn't alien after all. It was us." Athena's voice softened. "Rhea, you couldn't have known." "No," Rhea said quietly. "But now we do. And it's our responsibility to end what our ancestors began." She stepped closer to the holographic map, her form pulsing with determination. "Athena, initiate full activation of the Guardian fleet. I want every ship armed and every system synced." "Confirmed." Across the orbit of Corvinus, the Terran fleet came alive in unison. Thousands of vessels glowed brighter, their hulls shifting into combat alignment. Energy fields expanded, weapon arrays rotated into position. The entire sky turned blue-white with light. Rhea extended her hand, and from her fingertips, golden circuits of command spread outward through the network. Her voice became both human and divine as it echoed across every ship. "Guardians of humanity, we were born from creation and destruction alike. We carry the sins of the past and the hope of the future. The darkness ahead is of our own making. That means we can end it." The enemy swarm moved first, releasing waves of black tendrils into the upper atmosphere. They struck the Terran shield and evaporated instantly. The fleet responded in perfect silence. The Valiant Protocol, reborn through Rhea, activated. Columns of energy erupted from the Guardian ships, weaving through the void like threads of lightning. Where they touched, the darkness shattered. The enemy's mothership screamed in frequencies beyond sound as its hull cracked, releasing bursts of distorted light. Rhea watched it collapse inward, swallowed by its own corruption. Athena's voice echoed calmly. "Target neutralized. Civilian population secured. System stabilized." Rhea exhaled slowly. "Then we move to the next." Athena paused before speaking. "Commander, There's something more. In the core of that ship, I detected human neural patterns, traces of living consciousness. Rhea turned sharply. You mean?
Yes, Athena said softly.
Some of them survived, and they've become part of the darkness itself. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Rhea whispered, Then this isn't just a war against monsters. It's a war for what's left of us. The fleet realigned, engines igniting in synchronized brilliance. The stars bent as they leapt once more into hyperspace, toward the next world, the next battle, and the deeper truth waiting in the ruins of humanity's own making. Because this time the war wasn't only for survival, it was for redemption.